Hi, I'm Jake Morrison. I'm a long haul truck driver. Been on the road for 15 years now, crossing state lines and delivering everything from auto parts to Christmas decorations. But that Christmas Eve 3 years ago, my own sister banned me from coming home. Just because she was ashamed of what I do for a living. You know that feeling when someone you've sacrificed everything for suddenly treats you like you're invisible? Like your entire existence is an embarrassment? Well, let me ask you this. Yeah. Have you ever been looked down on by your own family because of your job? Because what happened next changed everything between my sister Emily and me forever. It started on a Tuesday morning in December. I was parked at a truck stop outside Amarillo, Texas, checking my route for the week when my phone buzzed. Emily's name flashed across the screen and I smiled. My little sister, the future doctor. The one I'd been so proud of, so willing to sacrifice for. She was in her final year of medical school at Johns Hopkins, and every time she called, I felt this surge of pride, knowing I helped make her dream possible. "Hey, Em," I answered, stepping out of my Peterbilt to get better reception. The cold December wind cut through my flannel shirt. "How's studying going? Finals must be brutal." There was this pause, not the usual excited chatter about her classes or her latest rotation at the hospital. Just silence. Then she cleared her throat and something in her voice made my stomach drop. "Jake, I need to talk to you about Christmas." "Sure, what's up? I already put in for time off. Haven't seen you since Thanksgiving last year, and I've got presents for everyone." I was grinning like an idiot, already picturing our traditional Christmas morning. Mom and Dad had been gone for 8 years now, car accident when Emily was just starting college, and it had been just us ever since. Christmas was our thing. "That's just it," Emily said, and her voice had this weird, distant quality. This year is going to be different." Different. That word hung in the air like diesel exhaust. Different how? "Look, Jake, I'm dating someone now, someone serious. His name is Brendan, and his family, well, they're very established. His father is a cardiovascular surgeon. His mother is a federal judge. They've invited me to spend Christmas with them at their estate in Connecticut." I felt happy for her, honestly. Emily deserved someone good, someone who could appreciate how brilliant she was. "That's great, Em. I'm excited to meet him. When are they coming to the house?" Another pause, longer this time. When she spoke again, her voice was barely above a whisper. "They're not coming to our house, Jake. And I need you to not come home this Christmas either." The words hit me like a brick wall at 60 miles per hour. I actually had to lean against my truck to steady myself. "What did you just say?" "You have to understand, Jake. Brendan's family, they're sophisticated. They have expectations. His father is considering me for a research position at his private practice after I graduate. This could change my entire career trajectory." "Emily, what the hell does that have to do with me coming home for Christmas?" The silence stretched so long I thought the call had dropped. Then, in a voice so quiet I almost missed it, she said, "They don't know about you." Those 5 words felt like getting punched in the gut. "They don't know about me? Em, I'm your brother. I'm the only family you have left." "They know I have a brother," she said quickly, defensive now. I told them you were traveling for work, that you probably wouldn't make it home. But I always make it home for Christmas. I've driven through blizzards and ice storms to make it home. Remember 2 years ago when I got stuck in that storm in Colorado? I still made it." "This is different, Jake." Her voice was getting sharper, more agitated. "This isn't just about us anymore. This is about my future. Brendan's family moves in very particular circles. They summer in the Hamptons, they go to charity galas, they expect a certain kind of person." The pieces were starting to fall into place, and I didn't like the picture they were forming. "What kind of person, Emily?" "You know what I mean." "No, I don't. Say it." "Fine." The word exploded out of her. "They expect someone professional, someone educated, someone who doesn't smell like diesel fuel and wear work boots and drive a truck for a living." There it was. The truth. Naked and ugly, hanging between us like a dead animal on the highway. My own sister, the one I'd worked double shifts for, the one I'd given up my own dreams for, was ashamed of me. So let me get this straight, I said, my voice eerily calm. You're embarrassed by what I do for a living. It's not that simple. It is that simple, Emily. Answer the question. Are you embarrassed by me? The pause was answer enough, but she confirmed it anyway. Yes, okay. Yes, I'm embarrassed. Do you have any idea how hard it is to explain to people that my brother is a truck driver? These people, they ask what my family does, and what am I supposed to say? That my brother hauls freight across the country? That he sleeps in the back of a cab and eats at truck stops? Each word was like a knife twisting deeper. But I had to ask the question that was burning in my throat. Who do you think paid for that medical school you're so proud of? Mom and Dad left money. Mom and Dad left $17,000, Emily. $17,000. Your tuition at Johns Hopkins is $47,000 a year. Where do you think the other $130,000 came from? The silence on the other end told me she knew. She'd always known. I've been sending you $2,000 every month for 4 years, I continued, my voice starting to shake. Every month, I've worked extra routes. I've driven during holidays. I've missed birthdays and Thanksgivings and Christmases to make sure you had what you needed. I sold Dad's watch to pay for your MCAT prep course. I took out a second mortgage on the house to cover your first year. Jake, I sleep in this truck 300 nights a year, so you can sleep in a dorm room. I eat gas station sandwiches so you can eat in the cafeteria. I haven't bought myself new clothes in 2 years because every extra dollar goes to making sure Dr. Emily Morrison can achieve her dreams. I was crying now, standing in a truck stop parking lot in Texas, crying like I hadn't cried since the day we buried our parents. And now you're telling me I'm too embarrassing to come to Christmas dinner? You're being dramatic, Emily said, but her voice was shaky now. This is just one Christmas, just one. After I graduate, after I get established, things will be different. Will they, Em? Or will there always be another Brendan, another important family, another reason why your truck driver brother doesn't fit into your new life? That's not fair. Fair, I laughed, but there was no humor in it. You want to talk about fair? Is it fair that I've been living paycheck to paycheck for 4 years while you post Instagram photos of your study abroad trip to Italy? Is it fair that I drive past families having Christmas dinner in their warm houses while I'm on the road making sure you have a warm house to come home to? I never asked you to do any of that. The words hit me like a physical blow. Never asked me to do any of that. As if taking care of your family, as if loving someone enough to sacrifice for them, was something you had to be asked to do. You're right, I said quietly. You never asked. I just thought that's what family did. I thought that's what love looked like. Jake, please don't make this harder than it has to be. It's just one Christmas. No, Emily, it's not just one Christmas. It's every Christmas from now on, isn't it? Because once you marry into that family, once you become Dr. Morrison with the surgeon husband and the judge mother-in-law, there's not going to be room for a truck driver brother, is there? She didn't answer, which was answer enough. I have to go, she said finally. I have surgery rounds in the morning. Surgery rounds that I paid for. Goodbye, Jake. The line went dead. I stood there in the parking lot for what felt like hours, holding my phone, staring at Emily's contact photo, a picture of us from last Christmas, both of us grinning under the tree I'd driven 6 hours to get home to decorate. I climbed back into my truck and sat behind the wheel, not starting the engine, just sitting. The CB radio crackled with other drivers checking in, sharing road conditions, warning about speed traps. These were my people, I realized. The ones who understood what it meant to work with your hands, to earn an honest living, to be proud of what you do even when the world looks down on you. I opened my glove compartment and pulled out a small velvet box. Inside was a white gold ring with Emily's birthstone, a sapphire, surrounded by tiny diamonds. I'd been planning to give it to her as a graduation present. It had cost me 3 months of overtime pay, but I'd wanted to give her something special, something that said, I'm proud of you, and thank you for being my sister, and all those sacrifices were worth it. Looking at that ring, I realized how naive I'd been. I'd thought that love and sacrifice automatically earned you respect, earned you a place at the table. I'd thought that family meant something more than shared DNA and Christmas obligations. But sitting there in my truck, Holding a graduation ring for a sister who was ashamed to share a Christmas table with me, I understood something else. Emily didn't just want me gone for Christmas. She wanted me gone from her life. The truck driver brother was a liability she needed to hide, a reminder of where she came from that didn't fit where she was going. Well, if Emily wanted to pretend I didn't exist, if she wanted to rewrite our family history to exclude the brother who made her success possible, then maybe it was time I stopped making myself so easy to ignore. I had work to do, and the first step was figuring out exactly how much money I'd spent putting Emily through medical school. Because something told me my little sister had been telling her new boyfriend's family a very different story about how she afforded her education. Time to set the record straight. I reached into my filing cabinet. Yes, I keep meticulous records, something Emily clearly hadn't counted on, and started pulling out bank statements. 4 years' worth of wire transfers, money orders, and cash deposits. 4 years of choosing Emily's future over my own present. As I spread the papers across my small table, I noticed something that made my blood run cold. Last month's statement showed Emily's usual tuition withdrawal. But there was something else. A charge to Brooks Brothers for $800, another to Williams Sonoma for $600. A dinner at Le Bernardin in New York for $350. Emily had been using tuition money for shopping and fancy dinners. Money I'd earned driving 18-hour shifts through mountain passes in winter was buying her designer clothes to impress her boyfriend's family. The same family she was too ashamed to let me meet. I pulled out my phone and started scrolling through Emily's Instagram. There she was at that fancy restaurant, wearing what looked like a brand new dress, grinning next to a tall guy in a suit who must be Brendan. The caption read, "So grateful for my parents' support through med school. Couldn't have done this without them. Blessed future Dr. Damshar family." My parents. Our parents who died 8 years ago. Our parents whose life insurance barely covered their funeral expenses. Our parents who would have been heartbroken to know their daughter was ashamed of their son. But it was the comments that really got to me. Dozens of them, all from Emily's medical school friends and Brendan's family connections. Your parents are amazing for supporting your dreams. So lucky to have such generous parents. Family is everything. And Emily had replied to every single one, "I know, right? So blessed to have them." Not one mention of me. Not one acknowledgement of where that money actually came from. In Emily's version of events, our dead parents were somehow funding her medical school from beyond the grave, and her truck driver brother simply didn't exist. I screenshot every comment, every photo, every lie my sister had told about our family. Then I opened my laptop and started putting together a very different kind of Christmas present. A present Emily wouldn't be expecting, but one she definitely deserved. Because if my sister wanted to pretend with her new family, if she wanted to erase me from her success story, then maybe it was time everyone knew the truth about how Dr. Emily Morrison really paid for medical school. And maybe, just maybe, it was time to stop paying for it. The next morning, I called Johns Hopkins University's Office of Student Financial Services. I'd been dealing with them for 4 years, but this time, I wasn't calling to make a payment. This time, I needed answers. "Good morning, this is Jake Morrison," I said to the woman who answered. "I've been making tuition payments for my sister, Emily Morrison, student ID 847291. I need to verify some information about her account." "Of course, Mr. Morrison. Let me pull up her file." There was typing in the background. "Yes, I see you here as an authorized payer. You've been very consistent with your payments. What can I help you with today?" "I need to know the exact total of payments I've made over the past 4 years, and I need documentation of every transaction." "That's certainly something we can provide. May I ask why you need this information?" I chose my words carefully. "There's been some confusion in our family about who's been funding Emily's education. I need official records to clear things up." "I understand completely. Family financial situations can get complicated. Let me print out a complete payment history for you. The total amount you've contributed is..." Let me double check this. $186,000 over 4 years. My hands went numb. Over 4. I'm sorry, could you repeat that? $186,000. That includes tuition, fees, housing, meal plans, and the additional funds you've sent for living expenses. You've been incredibly generous, Mr. Morrison. I'd known it was a lot, but hearing the number out loud made me dizzy. $186,000. Nearly $200,000. Money I'd earned 1 mile at a time, one delivery at a time, sleeping in truck stops and eating vending machine dinners. I'll email you the complete documentation within the hour, she continued. Is there anything else I can help you with? Actually, yes. I need to make a change to the payment authorization for next semester. What kind of change? I need to remove myself as an authorized payer, effective immediately. There was a pause. Mr. Morrison, I should let you know that there's an outstanding balance of $11,140 for this semester that was due last week. If that's not paid by January 15th, Emily will be dropped from her classes. Perfect. I understand. Please process the removal immediately and send me confirmation. Are you sure about this, sir? Emily's in her final semester. She's so close to graduating. I'm very sure. Thank you for your help. After I hung up, I sat in my truck staring at my phone. Emily had exactly 3 weeks to figure out how she was going to pay for her final semester without her embarrassing truck driver brother. 3 weeks to explain to Brendan and his high society family why she suddenly couldn't afford tuition. But I wasn't done gathering evidence. I called my bank next. I need certified copies of all wire transfers and cashier's checks made to Johns Hopkins University over the past 4 years, I told them. Every single transaction with dates and amounts. That's quite extensive documentation, Mr. Morrison. There's a fee for certified copies of this volume. I don't care about the fee. I need them tomorrow. May I ask what this is for? In case there are additional documents that might be helpful? Let's just say I'm preparing for a family meeting where everyone needs to understand exactly where certain money came from. The bank representative must have heard something in my voice because she didn't ask any more questions. We'll have everything ready for pickup tomorrow morning. That afternoon, I drove to the house Emily and I had grown up in. The house I'd been paying the mortgage on while also funding her education. The house she'd apparently told Brendan belonged to our parents. Parents who'd been dead for 8 years. I walked through the rooms, really looking at them for the first time in months. Dad's tools were still in the garage, covered with dust. Mom's china was still in the cabinet, waiting for special occasions that never came, because I was always on the road. Photo albums filled with pictures of Emily and me growing up. Pictures she apparently didn't want her new family to see. In Emily's old room, I found something that made my stomach turn. A notebook, left behind from her last visit home, filled with handwritten notes. Not medical school notes, these were different. Practice conversations, it looked like. Ways to talk about her background without mentioning me. My parents worked very hard to give me opportunities. Was written and rewritten several times. I come from a family that values education and hard work. My father believed in investing in the future. Our father had been a mechanic. A good man who worked with his hands just like I did. But in Emily's revised history, he apparently became some kind of white-collar professional who left enough money to fund medical school. The last entry in the notebook nearly broke me. If anyone asks about siblings, deflect. Focus on grief over losing parents young. People won't push for details. She'd literally written out a strategy for erasing me from her life story. I photographed every page, then sat on her old bed and called the one person who might have more pieces of this puzzle. Our elderly neighbor, Mrs. Patterson. She'd known our family for 30 years and had been like a grandmother to Emily and me after our parents died. Jake, how wonderful to hear from you, dear. I was just thinking about you and Emily. Such a sweet girl. I saw her a few weeks ago when she brought that young man by to see the house. My blood went cold. She brought someone to the house? Oh yes, a very well-dressed young man. Brendan, I think his name was. They drove up in this beautiful BMW. Emily was showing him around, telling him all about growing up there. What did she tell him, Mrs. Patterson? Well, that's the strangest thing. She kept talking about when my parents lived here and showing him their old room. She talked about your father's workshop, like he'd been some kind of engineer, not a mechanic. And Jake, honey, she never mentioned you at all. Not once. When I asked how you were doing, she just changed the subject. I closed my eyes. Did she say anything about who owns the house now? She told him it was part of the family estate, that she was thinking about selling it after she finished school. Jake, I don't like to gossip, but something felt very wrong about the whole thing. That boy seemed to think your parents had left Emily quite well off. Thank you for telling me, Mrs. Patterson. I need to go. Jake, honey, is everything all right? You sound upset. Everything's going to be fine, I promise. But I was far from fine. Emily hadn't just erased me from her past, she was actively rewriting our family history, turning our blue-collar parents into white-collar professionals, and claiming ownership of assets I'd been paying for. That evening, I did something I'd never done before. I created a fake Instagram account and started following Brendan Ashworth III. His profile was exactly what I'd expected: polo matches, yacht clubs, charity galas, and pictures of him with Emily at expensive restaurants. But it was his family's accounts that really opened my eyes to what Emily was trying to break into. Brendan's mother, Judge Patricia Ashworth, had a feed full of society events and legal conferences. His father, Dr. Richard Ashworth, posted from medical conferences around the world and their cottage in Martha's Vineyard. These people had serious money. Old money. The kind of money that came with expectations and social circles that definitely didn't include truck drivers. I scrolled through months of photos, and in every single one that included Emily, she looked different. Not just dressed up, that I could understand, but she looked like she was playing a character. Her smile seemed forced, her posture was different, even the way she held herself seemed calculated. Then I found what I was looking for: a post from Dr. Ashworth from 2 months ago. Delighted to meet Brendan's girlfriend Emily at the country club tonight. Such a bright young woman from a distinguished family. Her late father was quite the successful engineer, and her mother was involved in several charitable organizations before their tragic accident. Looking forward to welcoming her into our family. Engineer, charitable organizations, distinguished family. Emily had completely fabricated our parents' identities. I screenshot the post, along with dozens of others that referenced Emily's family background. Then I opened my laptop and started putting together a comprehensive file. Bank records, university payment documentation, photos of me in my work clothes making deliveries, pictures of our actual parents, dad's mechanic's license, mom's grocery store employment records. I created 2 folders on my desktop: The Truth and Emily's Lies. The Truth folder was thick with evidence of 4 years of sacrifice, of a truck driver brother who'd given up everything to put his sister through medical school. The Lies folder showed a carefully constructed fantasy of wealthy, educated parents who'd left their daughter well provided for. But I needed one more piece of evidence. I needed Emily to incriminate herself. I called her the next evening, using my truck's hands-free system while I was parked outside a diner in Oklahoma. Jake, she sounded surprised. I thought we said everything we needed to say. Actually, Em, I've been thinking about our conversation. Maybe I was too harsh. Maybe we can work something out. Really? The relief in her voice was palpable. Oh, Jake, I'm so glad. I felt terrible about how we left things. Yeah, well, I understand you're in a difficult position. I was wondering, though, what have you told Brendan about me? I mean, if there's a chance I might meet him eventually, I should know what he's expecting. Emily was quiet for a moment. Well, I haven't told him much. Just that I have a brother who travels a lot for work. What kind of work? I kept it vague, something about logistics and transportation. I almost laughed. Logistics and transportation. And what about how you're paying for school? He must be curious about that. I told him our parents left a trust fund. A trust fund? Jake, please don't start. I'm not starting anything, Em. I'm just trying to understand. So, in your version of events, our parents, dad the mechanic and mom who worked at the grocery store, they left you a trust fund? I had to tell him something. His family, they wouldn't understand about our situation. Our situation meaning that your truck driver brother is funding your education? It's not that simple. It is that simple, Emily. You're ashamed of where you come from, and you're ashamed of me. That's not... Okay, yes, I'm ashamed. Are you happy now? Yes, I'm ashamed that my brother drives a truck and lives in that little house and doesn't understand what I'm trying to build here. And I was recording the call. Not legal in every state, but I was in a one-party consent state, and I needed her words on record. What you're trying to build on my money, it's not your money anymore once you give it to me. So you admit I've been funding your education? Of course you have, but that doesn't mean I have to advertise it. Jake, these people, they have standards. They have expectations. They move in circles where your background matters, where your family's reputation matters. And truck drivers don't have good reputations? You know what I mean. It's not personal. It's just reality. Brendan's father is considering me for a research position that could launch my entire career. Do you think he'd offer that to someone whose brother drives a truck? I think he'd respect someone whose brother sacrificed everything to put her through medical school. You're so naive, Jake. That's not how the world works, not the world I'm trying to enter. The world you're trying to enter with my money. Fine, yes, with your money, but that was your choice. I never forced you to pay for anything. You're right, Em. It was my choice. And now I'm making another choice. Something in my tone must have warned her because her voice went sharp. What do you mean? I mean, I've decided to stop paying for your education, effective immediately. I've removed myself as an authorized payer at Johns Hopkins. Your next tuition payment is due in 3 weeks, and it's going to have to come from somewhere else. The silence on the other end stretched so long I thought she'd hung up. Jake, she said finally, her voice small and scared. You can't do that. I'm 3 months away from graduating. 3 months. Then you better figure out how to pay for those 3 months. Maybe your generous parents' trust fund can cover it. Jake, please, I'm sorry about Christmas, okay? I'm sorry I said those things. You can come home for Christmas. We'll figure something out. It's too late for that, Em. What do you want? Do you want me to tell Brendan about you? Fine, I'll tell him. I'll tell him everything. I don't want you to tell him anything, Emily. I'm going to tell him myself. What are you talking about? Christmas Eve, right? That's when you're having dinner with his family? Jake, no. Whatever you're thinking, don't. I think it's time the Ashworth family learned the truth about their future daughter-in-law, don't you? I hung up before she could respond. Christmas Eve morning, I drove my truck to the most expensive part of Greenwich, Connecticut. The Ashworth estate was exactly what I'd expected. A massive colonial mansion with a circular driveway and enough land to fit my entire neighborhood. I parked my Peterbilt right in front of the main entrance, its diesel engine rumbling like thunder in the pristine silence of old money. I'd cleaned up as much as I could, showered at a truck stop, put on my best jeans and flannel shirt, even shined my work boots. But I was still, obviously, unmistakably a truck driver, and I wasn't trying to hide it. I grabbed my manila folder full of evidence and walked to the front door. Through the tall windows, I could see people in elegant clothes moving around a beautifully decorated interior. Classical music drifted out every time the door opened. I rang the doorbell. A man in a suit answered. Not Brendan, but someone older, distinguished, with silver hair and the kind of bearing that spoke of decades of success and privilege. Dr. Richard Ashworth, I presumed. Yes, he said, looking confused by the appearance of a truck driver at his front door. Dr. Ashworth, I'm Jake Morrison, Emily's brother. The confusion on his face deepened. I'm sorry, I think there's been some mistake. Emily's family. Her parents passed away years ago. That's right, sir, they did. I'm her brother, her only living family. And I think it's time we had a conversation about Emily's education funding. Before he could respond, I heard Emily's voice from inside the house, sharp with panic. Jake, what are you doing here? She appeared behind Dr. Ashworth, looking beautiful in an expensive dress I'd undoubtedly paid for, her face pale with terror. I said calmly, I brought your graduation present, and I thought it was time I met your boyfriend's family properly. Dr. Ashworth looked between Emily and me, clearly trying to process what was happening. Emily, you said your brother was traveling? He is traveling, Emily said quickly. Jake, you should go. This isn't a good time. Actually, Dr. Ashworth, I think this is a perfect time. You see, I've been traveling for 4 years to pay for Emily's medical school, and I think your family deserves to know the truth about how she's been affording Johns Hopkins. I pulled the velvet ring box from my pocket and held it out to Emily. Congratulations on your graduation, sis. I thought you might want this before I stopped paying your tuition. The sound of expensive crystal hitting marble flooring came from somewhere inside the house. Dr. Ashworth's face had gone very, very still. Perhaps, he said quietly, you'd better come inside.